Yo, what's up guys? Bumfris back again with episode 15 of our Reddit series. You asked and I listened. This is going to be some petty revenge. I really hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button for daily Reddit content. Now sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the video. D was a typical 12-year-old boy, which is to say untidy. In fact, D was so untidy that he drove his parents, both professionals with little time for housework, almost to distraction. Events came to a head when, after a prolonged period of coughing and sneezing, his mum, a pharmacist, brought him to see a friend of hers who specialised in allergies. After several rounds of testing, the friend concluded that D was allergic to dust. Sure enough, after thoroughly cleaning the house and D's room, the sniffles vanished. D was careful always to take the antihistamines that his mum gave him, and to keep his room spotless. In fact, by the time that he was ready to go off to university, he was almost obsessively tidy, which is when his mum sat him down and confessed that he was not, in fact, allergic to anything and the antihistamines were vitamin pills. D had had a simple winter cold which cleared up on its own, and his parents used the opportunity to invent the allergy to get him to clean his room. This might be petty, but this is hella smart. I'll tell you, when I have kids, if they're lazy at all, this is exactly what I'm going to be pulling. I'm a caregiver for a gentleman that has two roommates. One is always at his SOs, so I don't really see him that often. His roommate shall be known as Bitch X. For the past few months, I've been asking Bitch X if she can do her own dirty dishes, because I'm there for his needs only, and I'm not there to pick up and clean up after her. She said that this wouldn't be a problem going forward. Over the next few weeks, more and more dishes were piling up. She refused to admit they were hers. I didn't want to cause any confrontation between her and my clients, so I just got it done. The next week, I noticed that he was almost out of dish soap, and I asked him if I should pick up some from the store. He said that Bitch X buys all of the cleaning supplies. So I told Bitch X that they were about out of dish soap, and if she could get some more before my next visit. Of course she was happy to oblige. I was doing her dishes after all. She got 2 bottles this trip. Bitch. Anyhow, over the next week, I would spill about 1/4 of the bottle a day. So within the week, all of her soap was almost gone. She got the hint and finally started doing her own dishes. I guess that's one way to show someone who's boss. At the same time though, I'd be pretty damn happy to pay for 2 bottles of dish soap a week if someone was washing my dishes. I think she might have won the battle here, but she's definitely still got a war on her hands. This is my grandma's story from when she was in her early teens. She had decided to try out some washable hair colouring, just for the fun of it. After she'd thoroughly coated her hair with this stuff and dried it off, she went to take a look in the mirror. It was horrible. What was supposed to be a subtle burgundy red colour turned out to be an awful, not so subtle, bright orange. She quickly ran to go and wash it out, but on her way to do so, her dad had stopped her. He instantly began berating her, telling her that she looked horrible and ugly, that she needed to go and wash it out right away because the colour was shameful. This didn't sit well with my grandma, so instead of going to wash it out like she'd initially planned, she refused, insisting that she loved the colour and thought it suited her. Of course her dad was livid about this, but she didn't care. She kept her hair like that for nearly a month, an entire freaking month of unwarranted stares and remarks. She hated every second of it and wanted nothing more than to wash out the clown-like colouring, but she refused to. She would keep it as long as she could, all for the sake of pissing off her dad. To think that someone could go an entire month of hating their life just to get back at their dad, that is some petty stuff. I actually admire how dedicated this person was just to getting their dad back. When I was a high school senior, many years ago, I worked 2 jobs. One was as a tour guide, the other at a very small snowball stand. This snowball stand was about half the size of a small shed and was owned by a bitch of a woman who was too busy screwing her tennis instructor to ever pay much attention to her business. She also paid us cash under the table. One day, I was scheduling the morning shift and another coworker took the evening shift. I don't remember the exact hours, but I was there until maybe 2 or 3 p.m. and we closed around 7 or so. Anyway, evening shift was responsible for bagging up the deposits and bringing it to the owner's house. We'd leave it in the mailbox and she'd come get it moments later. This particular evening, coworker forgot to take out the deposits, but locked up like normal. She was a good kid, so I don't think she did it on purpose. That night, some local kids kicked in the door, trashed her place, and took the money. The next morning, I get a call from the owner that we were robbed and I'm fired for it. I told her I wasn't the closer, but she didn't want to hear it. She also told me that she would be withholding the pay she owed me to cover the damages. I cried for a while before realizing that she couldn't legally do that. So I called and left multiple messages to no avail. My mum and I had had enough, so we went to the snowball stand and I told the worker to call the owner and tell her to bring me my money or I'm calling a lawyer. I'd also let them know about her business practices. She asked me to come back the next day for my pay and to return my key. I arrived the next day to find she left my money with the employee. I got up to the window right before a bunch of people got in line to order their snowballs. I was handed a bag of loose pennies. Oh, so we're being petty. Okay. I was owed around $50, so I dumped them all on the counter and began to count. I refused to give the key back until every penny was accounted for. The longer the line got, the more I'd mess up in counting and have to start again. I did this for about 20 minutes, enough to chase off quite a few customers. I don't even think this is that petty, to be honest with you. This manager royally screwed this person over. They deserved every single thing that they got, including losing customers. This happened about 3 years ago when I was a waiter at TGI Fridays. My coworker and I both had a customer that ordered the same dish. I put in my ticket for the meal about 10 minutes earlier, but he decided that he'd take the first one the cook finished anyway. When I confronted him about this, he claimed he thought it was his, but I know that was BS. Anyway, on this same day, I happened to be having some serious stomach issues. I'm talking the kind of farts that fill a room and hang in the air for minutes at a time. The kind of farts that a person can only get after a night of drinking beer and devouring Taco Bell at 3 AM. The kind of farts that honestly just might be shit. So I decided to use this ailment for a little bit of petty revenge. My strategy was simple. Every time this kid was in a group of people, I would walk by and fart in passing. Or I would stand and talk to him, and once I saw a group walking towards us, I'd fart and then find an excuse to leave the premises. After doing this about 10 to 15 times in a 2-hour period, I overheard a group of my co-workers talking about the target and I intervened. Is it just me or does Christian smell like shit today? Co-workers responded, dude, we were just thinking about that. We're pretty sure he shit himself. This one is probably the most petty one so far. Fair enough you're annoyed that he took your meal, but to ruin his entire night and probably impact his tips as well, that's some petty stuff. You know what they say though, revenge is a dish best served cold. And I'll tell you, this is cold as hell. Last July, I wanted to move. I was in a tight situation, so I couldn't spend thousands for a company service. So I contacted a private service provider who my friend recommended and managed to get my stuff moved for about $300. Everything was bliss on the day. He came with 4 people. They handled everything and we even had a pizza together. The next day, as I'm setting my TV up, I realized that my TV stand is missing. I think maybe I put it in another box. But after 2 days go by, I see that nope, the stand is gone. So I call him and tell him to check the truck again. He says there's nothing in his truck and he tells me to stop calling him. So I think there's no way I'm gonna let this guy get away with making me pay $100 for a new stand. So I immediately call him again, and this time he quickly talks very sinister to me and says he doesn't care that my stand is lost, and if I call him again, he'll come to my house with his boys and F me up. So at that point, I'm like, F you. I install a call recorder and decide to call him again to have evidence in case I end up calling the police. He answers and tells me to F off because he's driving and there's a police car behind him, and hangs up. I don't know what became of me, but I instantly dialed his number over and over again. He rejected the call the first few times, but he picked up the last call, shouting from the top of his lungs that he just got pulled over and had a $500 ticket for being on the phone while driving. He begged me to stop calling him and hung up. I didn't feel bad for him in the slightest form, and never heard from him again. It serves this dude right. I wonder if he still thinks that stealing a $100 nightstand was worth a $500 ticket just because this dude was after some petty revenge. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. That wraps up our first episode of Petty Revenge and the 15th episode in our Reddit series. I know there were only 6 posts in this one, but so many of you requested this, so I wanted to get it out for you guys, and I really do hope you enjoyed. Just want to finish up by saying thank you again for all the support lately. We just hit 4,000 subscribers and we are trending at an amazing rate. I cannot thank all of you enough. Just before I forget, a lot of you have been requesting that I set up a Discord server. This is the first time I'm doing it, so it will be up within the next week or so. Once it is up, it'll be in the description of all my videos, and I will also make a post initially with the link. Alright, so that is it. Do not forget to subscribe for daily Reddit content. Tomorrow will be some nice girls, so I hope you are all having a fantastic day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.